Time as he created the character, the punk rocker Vivian in The Young Ones. His comedic genius continues to enthrall audiences right around the world, and now he's extended into the world of literature. And fresh off the plane from the United Kingdom, please welcome Adrian Edmondson. Oh, just for you. You passed the audition. That was great.
I enjoyed that.
That's a cliff over there.
Did you meet Adrian, Jeff Harvey, and the boys?
How do you do?
Well done, guys.
Sensational, guys.
Who's the fixer?
Welcome to Australia. Welcome to Midday program. You look so different.
I know.
Doesn't he look different from Vivian?
Slightly balding there, you see.
In The Young Ones.
Where we used to glue the Mohican on there.
Very different looking character. Can you ever live down The Young Ones?
Yeah, well, I think I am. I mean, I think it started here a lot later than it did in Britain. And in Britain, they don't shout Vivian anymore. They shout Eddie. So that's the kind of character from Bottom. And yeah, I mean, these things you can't be embarrassed about them. I think it was a good show, and I think it'll pass in time. You know. You just have
in fact, at the moment we are looking at Sir Cliff in the real video clip of Living Doll. Did you realise you were sort of almost rubbing elbows with almost royalty with Sir Cliff?
I wasn't only rubbing shoulders with him. I don't know if you know Cliff Richard very well here, but no,
but I've got a feeling we'd like to.
There had always been a rumour that he had a colostomy bag, which isn't a funny thing in itself, but I did feel it in the photo shoot. The four of us kind of held him across our arms like that, and there was just something rather warm and squidgy strapped to his inner thigh.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, is this lunchtime? I'm jet-lagged. I thought it was the midnight show.
I just don't know how we missed that moment of entertainment. But it was fun. I loved that Living Doll. That was great. Is that true? No. Sorry, stop. What
you can
about...
touch my hand later if you want.
No, it's all right.
The hand that touched the bag of Cliff.
It's going to be one of those days, I can just tell. What about the whole legacy? Adrian Edmondson living with the legacy of Vivian. Is that difficult, still going through that?
No, it never has been, really, because even when I used to get approached on the streets when Vivian was kind of very current, people would say, go on, do Vivian, and I would just swear at them and tell them to go away, and they would say, oh, great, good impression. Thanks very much, and then they'd be on their way happy. So I've always managed to kind of be brusque and gruff with people about it, and not kind of get bogged down. Well,
gee, that sort of stonkers my next question. I was going to go on, do Vivian.
Well, I don't think you can in midday television.
No, not really. In fact, let's go back in time and have a look at the real Vivian.
It's a very long time ago, that, I tell you. That's 1980, I think. Yes, 1980.
Tell me about those days. How much of Vivian was based on your early years, your sort of university-type years?
Yeah, well, quite a lot of it. I mean, I think all students live in that kind of squalor. I mean, I think it's exaggerated, obviously, in that, but everyone lives a kind of grubby, kind of non-washing, slightly kind of soiled existence, don't they, as students? Didn't you?
No, I must have missed that bit. I like to shower.
Oh, we were driving the motorbikes up and down the stairs. We didn't care. Living on the edge of dawn.
But, I mean, by your own admission in stuff I've read, you're a pretty tough young guy. I mean, that was comedy, but you, in real life, you're a pretty sort of tough young guy, prone to...
I know, my face doesn't show it, but I did get involved in a few scrapes in my younger years. I was a very angry, rather obnoxious person.
Really?
And I'm afraid I used to be very mouthy in pubs, and it would get me into trouble.
So you had fights, fisticuffs?
I had fisticuffs.
Did you win?
Very rarely. I was a very good runner and I had a lot of friends.
So when was the last time you had a blue?
The last fight I had was with a very good friend of mine in a bar in Birmingham, and it was about 6 years ago.
So you're still out living it?
Well, you know, it just comes occasionally. He did start it. He did, didn't he?
I'm not game if I ask you why, you know, how he started it.
We had a spoof rock band called Bad News, and we had an argument about musical differences.
And there were a couple of beers involved, let me guess.
There were, yes. I think the barman got more of it than we did, but...
Your early childhood, how much influence, obviously, with the travelling around. Your father was in the armed forces.
Yeah.
We're talking Uganda, Bahrain, Cyprus. Was that a happy childhood?
I think it wasn't until they sent me to boarding school, yes. Yeah, I remember having a good time, and then suddenly it all stopped, you know. I don't know if you have boarding schools here, do you?
Oh, yes, there are.
Foul institutions. You know, mine just taught me to be kind of, to close up emotionally and be horrible to people. And kind of...
And your parents paid for this?
Yes. Yeah, well, actually, I got a scholarship, so the British nation paid for me to become horrible.
Oh. And that was the influence, the boarding school?
I think so. I think that was one of the... I think it's 90% of people who go to boarding school come out damaged in some way. And,
I don't know, I'm married to one. I haven't noticed too much damage, baggage on the way.
He's just keeping it quiet.
Ooh. Well, how does an angry, raging man who fights in pubs, is rebellious, turn into a comedian?
I think that's what makes comedians, isn't it? You don't become a comedian by just kind of having a funny kind of outlook on life, you know. You have to make yourself interesting to look at. You have to have a kind of spark somewhere within.
Well, there's a few of those, like Peter Sellers had a very dark side. Tony Hancock, who committed suicide.
This is great company, thank you very much.
Yes. Spike Milligan, we're talking off-the-wall weirdos here.
Yeah.
Are you a manic depressive?
I'm not a manic depressive, but I do have moments of grave doubt, and I'd rather not talk about them.
Okay.
No, I do. You know, I mean, I'm not a kind of sad clown, but I don't know any comic who's funny all the time. I know very few comics who are funny at all. You know what I mean? It's everyone tries to find the wit in a conversation, but when you're sitting on your own on the bus or in the car, you
come back solitary.
Yes.
You got married in 1985 to Jennifer Saunders, who everybody absolutely loves and adores, from Absolutely Fabulous.
It's a cracking photo, isn't it? God, why did she marry that?
I'm just trying, and folks, maybe you can back me up here. I'm trying to imagine the marriage and the household between Eddie from Absolutely Fabulous and Vivian from The Young Ones.
I know, well, I mean, I can see why people think that our house must be a sitcom. But it isn't. We think we're very normal. You know, we have 3 kids and we watch the football and worry about kind of how many bags you have to take to school every morning. You know.
Do you laugh a lot in your household, or is comedy a job that you go to every day and write funny?
No, I mean, I think, as anyone in any job, I mean, in your private life, you try to have a good time, don't you? So yeah, most people joke their way through. I don't think being a comedian makes you stop trying to joke your way through life.
You've made some appearances in Absolutely Fabulous, which has been an enormous hit here in Australia.
I know, I've seen the checks.
Did you enjoy that?
Yes, I mean, I find it difficult kind of doing bit parts when there's a whole kind of team there that are kind of really working.
Do you like your wife's work?
I think it's brilliant, yeah. I think it's the best sitcom ever written. But I'm not biased, am I?
No, and of course Jennifer wrote a lot of that.
She wrote it all.
All of it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And you think it's the best ever done?
I think so. I mean, I think it's very difficult to get a sitcom that actually has as its kind of central focus, you know, life and everything about it. You know, most sitcoms are about, you know, 2 blokes stuck on a bus, you know. It's very different. Very different
and sensational. Now, besides being Vivian from The Young Ones, you've done a lot of directing of video clips. You've written most of your material you've ever performed, but also you've now done a novel. It's called The Gobbler. What's a gobbler?
There are several meanings.
Oh. Will I be sorry I've asked this now?
Well, one meaning is a kind of turkey. We call turkeys gobblers. Another kind of interpretation is a kind of voracious person, someone who gobbles things, and the other allusion is to a kind of sexual act, which I'll leave you to guess at.
Stop laughing, Jeff and boys.
What are you talking about?
Okay, we'll leave that to our imagination.
To you?
Whoa, there's a leading question. But it is a fairly Julian. The Julian man, the character in here, is a fairly offbeat sort of character who goes through his life with a very voracious sexual appetite. I'm
Yes.
trying to be nice here, guys.
Yes.
I'm really trying to get this across nicely.
No, well, he is. I mean, that's what he is.
And he drinks a lot of wild turkey. Has he met John Laws? No, you don't know John Laws.
I don't.
But
Is he a bit of a drinker?
Yeah, loves the wild turkey. No. I'm sure you'll eventually get to talk to him as well. But here is the book, and I'm sure everybody in Australia, in fact, we have a lady in the front row who's got the T-shirt. Do you see our friend down there? Adrian, I'll just sort of give it
wife fan.
a big plug to the book. And as we go to break, I'll take it. Would you mind signing her book? Because she's been sitting here very patiently through the whole thing. Ladies and gentlemen, and as we take a break, please thank Adrian Edmondson for us.
Thanks very much.
Come over with us, Adrian.